Why did the ice cream truck break down?
Why?
Because of the rocky road.
I love that ice cream.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to the Hungry Square podcast where the brain and belly meet. I'm Sharon from the Wasatch Cooking Guide.
And I'm Winter from theredparty.com. This week, we are talking all about the ice cream, etc., etc.
Ice cream for ice cream.
Let's talk about it.
For Hungry Squared, yeah, Hungry Squared.
Sharon, how has your week been? Have you eaten anything fun this week? Or bad? Or good?
I ate something bad, but I don't really want to talk about it.
I don't like when that happens. It's just no fun.
It was boiled unseasoned chicken that I had at a restaurant. And I had no idea that they were going to serve it that way. It was weird. But the great thing that I had this week is iced tea at my cubicle at work.
What?
I experimenting with making my own iced tea at work.
Okay.
My day job that I have is for a healthcare system in the Intermountain West here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this new initiative where they have removed all added sugars from our campuses, from our hospitals and clinics and things like that, and our office buildings.
So there is nothing.
There's no soda.
No soda. No soda.
There is diet soda and like the 0 calorie, like the Coke Zero and stuff like that. There's those, but there's no soda. There's no candy bars, that kind of stuff.
Wow. Okay.
It's a huge change.
That's a big change. I think a good change in the right direction.
It is a really good change in the right direction.
But I feel like that might be upsetting
it's really upsetting to all the workers.
Okay.
My coworkers included, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you have those afternoon slumps that sometimes you can and
totally
can't prepare for.
Yep.
So if you're stuck at work with no chocolate, it kind of stinks.
Yeah.
So anyway, they have also increased the price of bottled sodas and teas. I usually get like iced tea at work for lunch. And so I have started making my own iced tea. I've started infusing Irish breakfast tea into my water bottle, and I've kind of got the little trick down just right where I can get it prepared pretty quickly. So I'm pretty excited about that. And that's what I've been drinking all week.
And it's tasty?
Oh, it's super tasty.
Oh, okay.
Tastes just like Gold Leaf.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
That brand that you can buy.
Good work.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
And you're probably saving money.
I'm saving tons of money because now it's like $2 a bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it used to be a little bit more than $1.
Right.
So it's stupid that I'm spending the money anyway, but now it's like seems exorbitant.
Yeah.
So
that works, right?
What have you eaten this week?
I recently had a birthday. And
happy birthday!
Thanks. It was actually a little while ago, so don't you worry, people. It was a month ago. It was a month ago. But I have this goal. Like when it's my birthday, I always have goals for myself.
Yeah.
And this goal was to try 39 new types of fruits and vegetables that I've never eaten before.
All right.
So I kind of want to document that. But one of the things that I had, my first fruit that I've never had before was a caracara orange or a caracara navel orange.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Yeah, never had them before. A coworker recommended it and I was like, oh, okay, I'll go see if I can go find some. And I did at Costco. And I didn't know that. So navel oranges, this was a cross between a Washington navel and a Brazilian Bahia navel.
Ooh, that sounds fancy.
But it's really a little different than just a regular navel orange. It's got a red or flesh. So it kind of looks like a ruby red grapefruit. I'm sure I'm sure you've had one. And I think they're sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
So I really have enjoyed eating this entire bag with my family. It's been great. The only thing that is a little odd about it is that when you segment them, the skin of each segment kind of doesn't stay intact. So when you peel it, it peels away. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's the way that orange always is, but that entire bag, every single one of them was like a little bit that way. So if that bugs you, maybe not get caracara oranges, but, and it's C-A-R-A for spelling, but I really enjoyed it. I think they're tasty.
I like them. They're less sharp.
Yeah.
I feel like, than a regular orange.
Sweeter for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think prettier.
Yeah, they are really pretty.
So that's what I ate, and it's been good.
Nice.
And now for the main course.
Let's get down to the first topic at hand. Ice cream.
And gelato, and custard, and sorbet.
Yes.
We are talking all about ice creams. Okay, so we had a question, I want to say, from somebody. Somebody asked us a question randomly, just in a friend.
On the street?
Yeah, not on the
Where?
street. It was like a group of friends or something.
Oh, okay.
And they asked us like, wait, what's the difference between gelato and ice cream? I was like, I don't think I know. And so we decided to talk about that. And
we found out.
And we did find out quite a bit of information. So hopefully this will be helpful for you because it was helpful for us. One thing we did before we hit the record button tonight was we had a little experiment.
Highly scientific experiment.
Totally. We purchased a lot of frozen desserts.
5 to be exact. We purchased 5.
And we tried them all. And
They were great.
They were great. And
Mostly.
Mostly. So we purchased a regular ice cream,
Mm-hmm.
a custard, a gelato, a ice milk / low fat ice cream.
Yep.
Is that a good way of putting it? And a sorbet.
Yep.
And we went from high fat to low fat. I guess is a good way to do it. And it was really interesting. And I could, after doing our research and then having our taste test, it was like, oh yeah, okay.
Super apparent.
It was
what
very
the differences
yeah,
were.
I feel like I could pinpoint stuff now that I am aware of how things are. So, should we get down to the business?
Well, Winter, what is your favorite kind of ice cream?
My favorite type of ice cream?
Yeah.
Chocolate mousse tracks in chocolate ice cream.
Describe for our listeners what mousse tracks are.
Well, it's like
Not those kind of mousse tracks.
fudge strips with like little cups of, I think there's peanut butter in the little cups.
I've had it with peanut butter and with caramel.
Oh,
Caramel.
I don't
in
think
the
I've had the
cups.
caramel before, but it is very tasty. Like I'm a chocolate ice cream person
Me too.
all the way.
Me too.
Lee is definitely a fruity ice cream person.
Is he?
Yeah. And I'm the chocolate person in the family. So we compromise and try a little of each and it works out. How about you?
I am a chocolate fan and I like things in my chocolate ice cream.
Me too.
I like candy bar bits,
Mhm.
cookies. My favorite though is the chocolate fudge brownie ice cream.
Oh, like,
Especially if you get a fudge swirl in there too.
oh yeah.
Yep. That's it.
You're like all about that.
I asked Ike tonight what his favorite was, and he said it was cookies and cream or praline.
Mm-hmm.
Both I think are good, but I don't think I've ever seen him willingly choose the cookies and cream.
Oh.
He always chooses like something with peanut butter in it.
Oh.
So it's kind of funny.
That is interesting.
I asked the children what theirs was, and the 16-year-old said, he kind of looks at me and I'm like, it's for a non-scientific research poll. He looks at me and he's like, well, I don't know. I haven't tried all the different kinds of ice cream.
He does have a good point.
He does have a good point.
I mean, that's really a limited data set. I mean, right there.
So, and then he's like, but so far it's brownie ice cream.
Oh.
So he and I are in the same boat.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the 12-year-old said mint chocolate chip. No hesitation.
Mint chocolate chip is a classic. I love that.
It is. It's really,
For a lot of people.
really good.
It's really good. So ice cream, when did it start? Let's talk about that.
well, funny you should say. So, in researching ice cream, it has a long history, actually.
Does it?
Yeah.
I feel like it probably doesn't have a long history because of lack of refrigeration and yeah.
Well, so on a mass scale, you are correct.
Okay.
Yeah. The effect of salt on freezing the cream
Mm-hmm.
and everything was known in the 13th century Arab world. And that knowledge eventually made its way to Italy, where we know is the home of gelato.
Gelato.
The English term ice cream, we first see that appearing in 1672.
Wow.
So that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that was a document from the court of Charles II. And we start to see the first printed recipes for frozen, quote unquote, frozen waters and creams appearing in France and Naples around the 1680s and 1690s.
Wow, that is a lot earlier than I expected.
Right?
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I really was like,
I thought this was like a new thing.
Very new.
Late 1800s type of a thing, if that. So no, totally wrong. I was wrong.
I was wrong too.
So some of these, I've got copies of these recipes, well, excerpts, I guess. So first recipe for ice cream, this one is called, this is French, so it's translated Snow of Orange Flowers. This is from 1682.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah. So it reads, you must take sweet cream and put thereto 2 handfuls of powdered sugar. So they had powdered sugar back then.
Yeah.
Pulverized, whatever. And take petals of orange flowers and mince them small and put them in your cream and put it all into a pot and put your pot into a wine cooler. And you must take ice. So they were making ice. Crush it well and put a bed of it with a handful of salt at the bottom of the cooler before putting in the pot.
Nice. Yeah.
And you must continue putting a layer of ice and a handful of salt until the cooler is full and the pot covered. And you must put it in the coolest place you can find. And you must shake it from time to time for fear it will freeze into a solid lump of ice. It will take about 2 hours.
That's basically, that's ice cream right there.
How cool is that?
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're making like an orange ice cream.
Yeah. I wonder what orange blossoms taste
Well,
like,
flavoring
though.
it with the orange
Right.
blossoms. So I guess it's not like orange, but
Maybe something
edible
florally.
flower.
Something florally.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. I didn't know that.
Super cool.
Yeah. People are always discovering things way earlier than I expect them to. So, so ice cream, let's talk a little bit about what makes up ice cream then. So the basics, let's just talk basics and then
what
we'll
are the main ingredients in ice cream.
And then we'll jump into like what each of those, the differences are between the different things. So we have obviously milk, fats, and proteins. The milk fat, the fat portion of that
Also known as butterfat.
Yeah, yummy. It provides the creaminess, the smoothness of your ice cream or whatever frozen dessert we're talking about, right? While the proteins will add some firmness, kind of a little bit more of the structure, as well as like a chewy texture. So it can be less chewy or more chewy. So, and I've never thought of ice cream being chewy, but it totally can be chewier than other things, right? Like it.
Sure, there's a mouthfeel to it. Your teeth sink into it a certain way.
And we'll talk about a few other ice creams that are chewier than I think some of us are used to trying, I guess. Okay, the next thing.
Chewier.
Yes, let me. I'm excited to talk about those ones. So sweeteners, obviously, we want some of that sweet cream, right? Or the sweetness that makes it a dessert. That is what helps with the texture sometimes. Sugar, corn syrup are one of the most common types of sweeteners that are put into ice cream. Then you talk about stabilizers. Now, the tricky thing is that these frozen desserts need to stay frozen, or else as they go from place to, if they're transported in when we do mass production of ice creams, ice crystals will form as it thaws and refreezes.
Oh, okay.
And then that changes your mouthfeel there. It starts to get gritty. It's not.
Yeah, that affects the flavor too.
Yep, exactly. So it's not. So they have stabilizers to help maintain the general like texture of it, I guess. Not a bad thing. I think it's a great thing, actually. And then emulsifiers, and these keep the milk fat globules, and we can talk a little bit more about how those kind of play into it, but they help keep everything evenly distributed in the liquid portion and the airy portions, because there's liquids and there's air. And as with those emulsifiers, when you just add a little bit of it, it just kind of helps take care of that from separating out. So it's not like you're drinking you're eating like a salad dressing, for example, right? Yeah. So it keeps everything combined, I guess is a good way of putting it. So, and they generally accomplish that by adding like small amounts of fats or oils to do that. Now, when we talk a little bit about ice cream, or any of these frozen desserts, we're going to talk about a couple of different things because ice cream is basically liquid, right? So we have, and I would say a majority of the portion of ice cream is liquid. And then you have an air portion. And when we talk about air in the ice cream world or frozen dessert world, the term is overrun. That's what it means when you talk about overrun.
The amount of air
that's in there. Yep. And so that can change how that mouthfeel is. If it's fluffier or denser, those are the basic things that are a part of frozen desserts. And some things will have all of them and some things will not have them. And then we can have some additives too, as we'll talk about with, say, for example, a custard. So let's jump into that. So Sharon, let's talk about ice cream. I know that I went to the FDA website and they have documents about what is qualified.
What's considered ice cream. And
yep.
whatnot.
Yep. So what are the basic percentages of certain things that need to happen to call something an ice cream?
So if you were an economy standard type of ice cream, is 10% milk fat. If you've got name brand standard, that goes 12 to 14% milk fat. A premium ice cream is considered 16 to 20%.
So higher milk fat as you get kind of like, oh, this is
fancier, like at your ice cream shops,
right,
your specialty places, that kind of thing. Yeah. They're going to have a higher percentage of milk fat. Economy standard. So just your basic square of ice cream that is in a carton at the grocery store. Percentage of milk solids there is 11%. And the more premium you get, the less percentage of other milk solids you have. So like a premium standard is 7 to 8% milk solid.
Okay.
Other percent of milk solids. Sugar. Economy standard has 15% sugar.
Okay.
Premiums anywhere from 13 to 16%.
So kind of still right around that 15% range.
Custards. So they'll have about 10, which is the same as ice cream, but up to 14% milk fat. Other milk solids, anywhere from 8 to 11%. And then they typically have a little bit less sugar, actually. They have more fat than sugar. And that's 13 to 15%.
And the thing that makes custard a little different than ice cream is that it has egg yolks in it.
Yep. So they'll typically have 2% of yolk solids, whereas economy standard ice cream and premium ice cream, that's all generally at 0.3%.
Oh, really? Okay.
Of the egg yolk solids.
Okay.
Gelato.
Yeah.
We've got 8 to 12% milk fat. So it's kind of the same.
But it can also get lower.
It can also be lower. That accounts for your creamy gelato that you get, right? Because you've got your economy standard is at 10% milk fat, but gelato can go up to 12%.
Yep.
And that can account for the less creamy types of gelato.
Well, and the other thing that I learned was that with gelato, it has a higher percentage of milk to cream. So it's more milk based versus cream based. So that's, it's kind of got a different feel to that. So,
and it generally has a higher percentage of sugar at 16 to 18%.
Oh, that is a bit higher.
So whereas your premium ice creams have up to 16% sugar. So gelato's a little bit higher there. Then we go into our low-fat varieties. Low-fat ice cream was reclassified in 1994 as such, low-fat ice cream. Before that, the FDA classified it as ice milk.
So just frozen milk.
It was like a frozen dessert type thing. So it still came in the same similar packaging, a carton that ice cream comes in, but it was called ice milk. And so that has a lower percentage of milk fat.
I'm sure. I mean, it just sounds,
2 to 4% milk fat.
Basically it really sounds like
just barely.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that taste is reflected in that just barely % milk fat.
Yeah.
It's pretty gross, people.
Wah, wah.
And from personal experience, I can tell you as a child, it's highly disappointing when your grandma says she's got ice cream and she really means this low-fat
ice milk thing.
It's gross.
Noted.
Then you get into like the sorbets and sherbet. And sorbets there's no milk in those.
Yep.
But if you get a sherbet, I guess, that's 1 to 3% milk fat.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the difference there. Sorbet is just basically the frozen fruit puree type of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And sherbet is more, they try to make that frozen fruit puree a little creamier with the milk fat.
There was a lot of cool stuff that I learned about that, because one thing when we were doing some research on this is that I didn't realize that ice creams had to be served or kept at a certain temperature to have the right feel/texture in your mouth.
Yeah.
I was shocked actually, because ice cream should be served at 10 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 12 degrees Celsius for those of you who are international, because then it's considered soft serve in a sense.
Right.
It's less dense. It's definitely airier. And when we did our little experiment, when you compared everything that we ate, I would say definitely hands down that ice cream we ate was airier.
Oh, it definitely was.
You could see air pockets almost.
I think another interesting thing too about these percentages.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got like all of these different things that make up the flavor of ice cream in general, like the airiness and the mouthfeel and textures and things, and the temperature brings that to light. But ice cream is not a health food. I just want to put that out there right now. In no way, shape, or form is this a health food. And it doesn't matter if you are trying to go into your sorbets or anything like that. The less milk fat percentage you go, the higher your sugar percentage
usually
it skyrockets.
Yeah.
So if you're going for your low fat variety or your sherbet variety, those can have anywhere from 18 to 35% sugar.
That's a lot of sugar.
It's a ton.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that make up taste, but like that fat and the sugar,
the give and take between the two,
the main components, I feel.
Yeah.
And the higher flavored things are going to have a higher milk fat.
Right.
But to get these so-called healthy ones, like the low fat ice cream, to get them to even taste right, you have to increase the sugar exponentially.
Right. And I know that there's some ice creams that may use maybe less sugar and use some sweeteners, like artificial sweeteners rather.
Artificial or sugar alcohols.
Or something to make it
palatable.
Yes. But I feel like that it is lacking a little bit. So your point is noted, and I think everybody should know that it is a dessert. So maybe don't eat the entire carton and just have a nice little scoop and enjoy it.
Yes. Savor the good stuff, people.
Don't
savor the good stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's a good way to live. So
let's talk more. Let's get back to the temperature. I interrupted you.
Oh, no. I'm actually glad you brought that up, because the sugar we can talk a little bit about sorbet, because I think there's like a lot of fun chemistry with that. So ice cream has to be a little bit, so it has to be kind of cold, but custard is generally served quite warm in comparison. So like I said, ice cream is about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. For custard, it's 18 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's warmer. And when it's kind of true, you can't, like with ice cream, I can like take my ice cream scoop and form a little scoop, and it will stay in a scoop form.
Sure.
Custard, you don't do that. Like that just doesn't happen. It's so soft. It usually comes out that way. And it's because of those egg yolks. It just has a creamier texture in it. It acts as an emulsifier in the ice cream, or the custard rather.
So it won't hold its shape as well.
Yeah.
There's less air to it.
Less air. It's definitely denser. And I would say when we were trying it, in comparison, it was definitely, you could tell.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was denser, and I would say creamy. Like it was pretty darn creamy.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really liked it. It was really good. Now the gelato, same thing. That one should also be served at a warmer temperature, but the way they make it is how they, so obviously it doesn't have eggs, but it's churned very slowly. And that's why they say, like, because when you churn it slowly, you're introducing less air into it. So you're not overrunning it. Like,
oh, okay.
That term we were talking about. So there's no eggs, but you're just not putting as much air into it. So hence you have a more dense product. I feel like the gelatos that I've really, really liked have been this dense, I love that dense mouthfeel, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think also it has still a very high fat content.
That's what makes it tasty.
Yeah. And I think it's because we go to like something really nice, like Dolcetti Gelato. It's something in Salt Lake City, and their gelato is awesome. Like their pistachio gelato is amazing. It's so good. And they have this random one, like it's sticky rice. Sticky rice and mango.
Oh, yes. I've had that one. Yes,
yeah.
That's good.
We had it at a friend's wedding and I was like, what? But it's good. You guys got to try it. So, but once again, because it's served at a warmer temperature, generally you're not getting those like perfectly beautiful.
You don't get those perfectly round scoops.
Yeah. This one is more of a like, you kind of, scrape it into the cup, right? It's just because it's a little bit softer at a warmer temperature. A couple of things that I thought was really fun was sorbets. They're dairy free and it's basically whipped sugar syrup, if you think about it, right? It's like those, like you said, the fruit purees a lot of times. And I kind of geeked out on this because it ends up being, so the sugar, so it's water, right? And sugar, basically water and sugar. So the water starts freezing and then so the sugar lowers the temperature of water's freezing point.
Well, salt does that too.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that salt and sugar, but sugar in this situation lowers it down. And so this syrup starts to freeze, and then it makes the remaining water that hasn't frozen yet more concentrated. So you end up with this super saturated sugar solution. So these tiny ice crystals end up kind of enmeshed in this super saturated sugar solution. And it's kind of cool the way that works. So I think there's an art, because I've definitely had sorbets that are so sweet. They make your toes curl. Like, and then there's other ones where you're like, this is too icy. I don't like this.
Yes,
I really feel like
consistency's off.
And so I feel like you have to kind of get that, you have to bring it down at the, like churn it, quote unquote, churn it at the right speed in order to not ruin this like balance between the ice crystals and the sugar solution. So
you don't want to ruin your chemistry.
No, you don't do it, people. So I would be interested to know if people have made sorbets before and how that went, because it seems tricky to me.
We got some friends' kids for Christmas. We got them an ice cream maker. And we're moving near them soon, like in a couple weeks.
Sweet.
So we'll be almost like across the street neighbors from them. And we're excited because Ike and I have been talking about this ourselves, because we're like, well, they haven't made anything yet with their ice cream maker. And it's a little foot pedaled one.
Oh, so like you push the foot pedal and it like spins a churn.
It's called a Bigfoot ice cream maker or something like that. We saw it at Target, and it's got this like Sasquatch Bigfoot paw on it.
Oh my gosh, that's
on the pedal. And so you just step on that pedal and then this little plastic barrel turns. And so we're going to experiment with that this summer, I think.
We're going to put that in the show notes so you know what we're talking about, because that sounds awesome. That sounds amazing. That's great.
But if you guys have a foolproof method for making your ice cream, whether you do the bag method or
there's that little round ball that you can toss around,
right? Or you've got your own ice cream maker. Let us know, and let us know what kind of ice cream you're making. Yeah, or sorbets,
whatever. We want to know. There's all sorts of other ice creams can I just tell you a little about a few of them?
Yes.
Because I was like, my thought was, well, we eat like our typical, we go to the grocery store and we get ice creams and gelatos and custards and stuff, but what do people eat in other countries? And
not as much ice cream as Americans do. I will tell you that.
I know.
We're the largest consumers.
Yeah, we love our ice cream. I did live in Russia though, and the Russians love their ice cream too.
Oh, do they?
Oh yeah. It's, minus 30 outside and you are still eating ice cream because there's like little ice cream kiosks everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need an ice cream cone. And I would do it too. Like it was like, I need an ice cream cone. It's freezing, but I need an ice cream cone.
Well, that's what we do here in Utah, even in the snow.
Yeah.
I was super disappointed because when I lived in Seattle for a short time, they had a really awesome local creamery, the Rainier Creamery.
Oh.
And named after Mount Rainier.
Mm-hmm.
And they were only open seasonally.
Oh.
So in the middle of winter, you couldn't go and get an ice cream cone.
That's a shame.
And I was like, it's only rain, people. You can still eat ice cream in the rain. I was so sad.
That is kind of a bummer. Okay. People, come on. Okay. A couple things that I had never heard of before. Did you know that, staying in the US really quickly, did you know there's something called New England ice cream?
No.
Okay. So this was started in 1973 by a gentleman named Steve Harrell. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So Steve Harrell or Steve Harrell, I'm not completely sure. So this particular ice cream is made with less air, and the way,
So like a custard maybe?
it's not a custard though. So it's
okay.
it's dense and it doesn't melt. It has kind of a chewier texture to it. And there were a couple of recipes out there, but it's a secret for this company, like the way they do it. But I just want to say that he was the OG when it comes to the, how Cold Stone has the marble slab.
Yeah.
And he was the first person that did this. And he was in Somerville, Massachusetts, and he did the cold marble slab, and he loved mixing stuff into his ice cream.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So cool, huh? So that's New England ice cream. So it's, like I said, denser, a little chewier actually.
Okay.
So
Nice.
So that one I thought was kind of interesting because I'd never heard of it before. And the people that are maybe from the New England area are probably like, of course that's a thing. Winter, Western girl. Sorry.
Side note, if you have special regional cuisine, you need to share that with us.
Yeah,
And let us in on your secret.
We totally need to know that. So another thing that I thought was fun was something called semifreddo. I don't know if that's I'm sure that's an Italian term and I probably butchered it. I'm sorry, our Italian listeners. So it's a frozen dessert that you can slice.
Oh.
But it's part ice cream and part mousse. So it's like a stirred custard, and then you have a whipped meringue, and then you kind of combine those together and then put it into a mold and freeze it, and then you cut it. So this one is the OG ice cream cake. Like,
yeah, when I was in high school, is it Breyers makes this thing?
Oh.
And it's very similar to that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an ice creamy mousse type thing, and you would slice it. And when we had company, I knew that my mom was going to get that at the store because she loved
fancy.
it. It was fancy.
Semifreddo.
Okay.
So there's that. The other one is kulfi. Have you heard of that? Kulfi.
I've seen the word. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I know it's Indian.
Yeah, it's usually found in India or in some of the Southern Asian regions. So this I thought was very interesting because a lot of times we just mix stuff together and then put it in so it's kind of a popsicle. But when you think of popsicle, you're like, okay, you mix everything together, stick it in the popsicle mold and pull it out, a couple hours later. This, it's milk with sugar, nuts, and or some spices. But they cook it for hours.
What?
Yeah, they totally cook it down
to concentrate the flavor.
Yeah, so it comes to this thick, syrupy, perfumed, syrupy type thing, and they do that. They cook this for hours because they want to brown the sugar, like they want to bring that caramelization out, and then they want to brown the milk proteins. So you could really just have, So
you get a nuttier flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like when you make browned butter.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of that deal. And then they pour this into these popsicle molds and then pull it out, and that's what you eat. And you can have other flavorings to it. Obviously pistachio, rose water, saffron, very
yummy.
Mango, like very regionally centric flavors. And it's apparently really tricky because most I mean, if you're trying to pull off a kulfi type of an ice cream, some people cut corners and put something else in instead of doing this cooking for hours type of a preparation.
Yeah, that's really involved.
It is really involved. And you have to stir constantly too.
No.
Yeah, you do. So you're
oh
like,
my gosh, really? Well, yeah, you would because it's milk.
Yeah, exactly. And so you would, so I want to know if anybody's had one of these that is like legit. And
I'll bet that's more of a rare treat since it's so labor intensive.
I'm not sure. If anybody has any comments on that, I know we have a few friends that have gone to India a few times and they may have already partaken of this and they can comment on that. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, the other thing that I really enjoyed, side note, really quickly, liquid nitrogen's a thing when it comes to ice cream. So obviously like liquid nitrogen ice cream, where you have
Dippin' Dots.
Well, yeah. So so I was thinking of just like when you put a mixer and then you just dump all the stuff into the mixer and then the liquid nitrogen and you just are mixing it and then you have your ice cream and it's kind of soft serve. So there's that. But yes, Dippin' Dots. It was discovered by an Illinois grad student. And yeah, it's basically you're flash freezing these little droplets of,
goodness.
Kind of an ice cream base.
Droplets of goodness. I love getting them every time I go to the soccer game.
So now, however, they kind of struggle a little because it's using liquid nitrogen, it doesn't really translate well to the home or to the grocery store.
It doesn't.
Because they have to maintain like minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit in order to maintain their like individual little dots.
Yeah. So when you buy it at the grocery store, you get all disappointed because it's in a big old clump because it's melted.
Kind of. So that company has struggled a little converting it because you still see it at events because they have the equipment for it. But for the home consumer, difficult. It's definitely been a difficult transition. So I just wanted to mention that because that was kind of fun. The last thing I want to talk about actually is something that one of our listeners mentioned. And he said, and I'm going to say it wrong. He's like, yeah, there's a Persian ice cream and it's called Akbar Mashti. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, that's the guy's name. I was like, really? Okay. And he's like, so the way he was describing it, I was like, I got to look more into this. So really it's a thing. There was this guy, Akbar Mashti. He's a Persian. He was an Iranian, who used to vend ice cream back in the day, like in, I think, early 20th century. And, the thing that makes this type of ice cream different, and I guess this is the way it's called, the actual name of the ice cream is Bastani. I don't know if I've said that correctly, but apparently everybody refers to the ice cream as Akbar Mashti, like the guy's name, because he vended the ice cream so much. And he was like really diligent in vending ice cream because before.
And this was in Iran?
This was in Iran. And it wasn't until Reza Shah, the Shah of Iran, took over I think it was 1925 or so. Ice cream was not available to the masses, but the Reza Shah, he was like, oh yeah, ice cream needs to be with the masses. And so Akbar Mashti was really diligent in vending ice cream. And he had really good friends he had a partner, but then the partner was like, okay, I'm done with this. And Akbar kept doing it. And he became well known because he vended ice cream that was familiar to the Persian taste. So he made things with saffron or rose water in it. And so everybody's like, yeah, I'm going to eat that. And it's delightful. It's a cool treat. And he was like, the lengths he went to get ice to create kind of the crude refrigeration. Like he had to, there was a huge pit he dug. He harvested ice up in the mountains of Tehran. I mean, it was pretty intense.
That's cool.
So that's why he's known so much. The thing that makes this ice cream kind of different is that they use something called salep, S-A-L-E-P. It's from a tuber of the orchid. And it's really starchy. It has a polysaccharide called glucomannan. And you guys get it. I'm going to put a video in the show notes, but this starchy tuber basically makes this ice cream like elastic.
Oh,
It's weird.
it stretches?
It totally stretches. It's so weird.
Ooh.
And apparently it's super good, but it's crazy looking. So I'm going to post it a couple
it's
of
like bubblegum ice cream.
Yeah, it's weird. And it doesn't look like it melts really super. You have to chew it. And
interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
So it was like really kind of crazy. So this salop, this tuber, it's illegal to export. And so that's why you've never seen it like show up in the United States. Because, you know, we have trends that are really popular across in other nations. And then they come to the United States eventually. But so far it has not because it's illegal to export. So just a little bit of
They're keeping
fun
that
fact.
secret stretchy ice cream all to
Apparently.
themselves.
Yeah, apparently. So, and I think it's, you can see it. I think you can see this type of ice cream in Turkey as well. And so, yeah, I think the videos that are available are usually folks in Turkey that have this similar ice cream, but it's super stretchy. Like they have these long metal poles that they stick into the ice cream, and like they will pull out the entire thing of ice cream and it sits there and it starts to stretch, and it's not melting or anything. But it just stretches
that's
out.
weird.
It's like taffy like.
Huh. Okay.
So, people have fun, cool ice cream. Like, cause I think of all the things that are like popular, and I think of, you know, you've seen the one where there's like a frozen large disc and they pour the ice cream on it and then they scrape it off into these beautiful cylinders.
Yeah,
and
that's pretty.
That's pretty. So that's a pretty big trend from Thailand as well. So there's just cool stuff people are doing with frozen desserts. I love it.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody, for
Yay.
eating good, tasty stuff.
Let's have a food fight.
Food fight, food fight, food fight, food fight. It's winter.
This is the segment where you can email us with your relationship questions relating to food. You can email us at hungrysquared@gmail.com.
Disclaimer, we are in no way professional relationship experts, but you totally listen to us anyway. If you need professional help, please seek it out.
Food fight, food fight. The food fight segment of the show. Here we go.
Sharon, do you have this week's question?
I do.
Okay, good.
Dear Winter and Sharon, I have an issue at my house. My husband and I are recently married. Yay!
That is great.
He has 2 kids and I have 2 kids. While blended families are a huge blessing, they aren't without some growing pains, one of which is our daily dessert battle.
Oh.
My husband is used to serving his children dessert every night. They love it and look forward to it. I serve my children dessert far less than that. What's a compromise we can both live with on this one? Sincerely, Dessert Dilemma.
Yeah, that is a dessert dilemma. How do you eat dessert?
I mean, I've got an opinion on this,
Okay.
and it's just my opinion, but I eat dessert more occasionally. Like tonight we had our science experiment of our 5 ice creams.
It was totally work. It was not dessert.
And I purposefully ate a little less dinner because I knew that I was going to come over here and eat a bunch of ice cream.
It was so good.
So, I mean, I would love to have it every day, but I know what that does to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not as diligent on my workouts as I should be. So I tend to shy away a little bit
Back
from
off.
the daily dessert,
Gotcha. Okay.
as it were.
Yeah.
Well, how do you eat dessert?
I think we're that way as well. We definitely, I think ice cream is generally our dessert of choice if we
is it?
have it.
Okay.
But we definitely don't eat it that often. Lucy would eat it every day. So we just don't bring it up as an option. And once again, I think it's because, you know, you can't have it every day unless you are doing something to counter that, I think.
Oh, as adults, like
Yeah.
kids, I'm like, whatever. They've got empty legs and arms.
Yeah, they do. And they can run it off and they'll be
Yep.
fine.
They'll be fine tomorrow. They'll sweat it off in their sleep. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to pass the buck to you because I think you have an opinion about this because you're kind of in this situation.
Well, I am a member of a blended family.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have children though. So the children in my family are not my biological children. But I would say give them dessert every night.
You would say that?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay.
Because
Really?
from my experience,
Okay. Let's talk about this because I'm a little surprised.
pick your battle.
Um,
This to me is not a battle worth fighting for.
really?
there are so many other like major big things like that happen when you when you blend families and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And if this is your battle, like, you are lucky. Let me tell you, girlfriend, you are lucky. So I would give in and feed them dessert, let them eat cake. And if you don't want to eat cake, they won't care. It'll be more for them.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little shocked, actually. I was not expecting that completely.
Well, because you think like, oh, the compromise is clearly every other day or something like that. Like,
well, that's what I would think.
Often. But if they are looking, so I mean, like, you're saying that they're looking forward to it. They're used to this. Mm-hmm. Give it to them. Like, I will bet some money that your kids that don't get dessert as often are going to be super dang happy in your house that they get dessert every night.
Okay, because I would not say that. I would probably say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Like the
less battles is a win.
Yeah.
So to me, like that extra, $20 a week or
it doesn't even have to be
$10 a week that you're spending on some ingredients for like some chocolate chip cookies or whatever is worth it to me.
I think though, the compromise here would be, in my personal opinion, I am not from a blended family, so I don't know what that's like. I am not in a blended family. So,
yeah.
But I would say that if you are going to do dessert, then every single day, then I would probably say simmer it down a little in the sense of, you're not going to have a whole piece of chocolate cake and ice cream, or
sure,
it's going to be like
put more fruit on the menu.
Yeah, I was about
fruit and whipped cream or
yeah,
whatever.
Exactly,
That's
berries
fine.
and whipped cream. Something that is maybe insert a couple of healthier options that they may not know about. And I don't know what the dessert menu usually is at her husband's home, but I think maybe inserting some more fruit, and because fruit's
sweet.
Fruit is delicious. And when you get it at the peak of season, it is so, so good. I mean, it rivals some dang good ice cream, people.
It does. And like, you can do all sorts of fun things too with it. Mm-hmm. You can broil your grapefruit and put a little honey on top for some caramelization.
Yeah.
Super good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could do stuff like that too. So you're not giving your children diabetes.
Yeah. You don't want to do that. Don't do that.
I'm just saying less battles, happy kids.
Yeah. But I think there's also ways to like make it a little healthier or
for sure,
really control the portion of that dessert.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay,
not
everybody
sugar
gets
overload, especially right before bed.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, instead of having 3 cookies, we're going to just have 1 cookie just because there's more of us now or something. Like, I think there's ways to do that and still have your sweet treat. So, okay, that's my compromise to your answer.
To my daily dessert.
Yeah, because I'm like, what?
You give them dessert every day.
I don't know.
That to me is a no-brainer.
Okay, well, there you go.
Mean, sometimes you just have to give, and that is an easy gift for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really hurting you. That's more of a control thing.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, yes, portion control, but it's like a control thing. Like, they can have dessert every day.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
You don't have to eat it.
You don't have to eat it. That's right.
Yeah. Good luck, though.
Yes.
Because I feel you.
Good.
There's a lot of battles to be won or fought or whatever. I don't know.
You got this.
But you are right that blended families are a huge blessing.
Yeah.
So
good
luck with yours.
Yeah.
And your new marriage. Thanks for joining us today on our show. You can find us at hungrysquare.com, on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music.
Hey guys. So have you heard of Tripod? #TRYPOD. Yeah. Like, introduce your friends to us who might need some laughter and educational bits in their brain. I mean, that's fun, right? So have them go subscribe to us at iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play Music, wherever. We'd love it.
You can send your friends episodes.
Yes.
Send them an episode.
Ones that you really, really enjoy. And heck, while you're there, head on over to our website, www.hungrysquared.com, and there you will find our show notes. And like I said, I'm going to put a few videos in there of random ice cream bits. So yeah, it's worthwhile to go take a gander. So we will see you next week for our next episode of Food Nerdery.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry squared, yeah, hungry squared.